Hi everybody, happy Friday. I hope you've had a great week. We've had a good week in school, but it's been very busy. I've been all over the place, but I'm back now. So I'm really excited to read the next chapter of the book. I've been keeping up to date with what's going on. So we're on chapter 10 now, hopefully, which is Face to Face with the Great and Terrible Wizard of Oz. Okay. 3 of you asleep already. I reckon there's some of you little puppies who still don't know the end of my tale. Never stayed awake that long, have you? And that's kind of a shame, because as Tiny Toto will tell you, and he never goes to sleep till it's over, do you, Tiny Toto? He knows the end is just about the best bit. And getting to the end is the most exciting part and the most frightening too. Not frightening enough to give you nightmares, but frightening enough to be exciting. And we're coming right now to the moment where we met the great and terrible Wizard of Oz, which was scary enough, I can tell you. We were all up early the next morning. We said our goodbyes and thanks to the old woman who had turned out not to be such a bad old stick after all, and were soon off on our journey again, following the yellow brick road. As the sun rose, we could see a green glow in the sky. "Look, it's the Emerald City!" cried Scarecrow. "We're almost there!" And, linking arms with Tin Woodman and Dorothy, off they all skipped ahead of us so that Lion and I had to trot along to keep up. As we came ever closer, we saw the city was surrounded by towering green walls, and set in the wall were great green gates, studded not with nails, but with glittering emeralds that dazzled our eyes. The gates swung open as we approached, and there stood the guardian of the gate, small and green like everyone in these parts, but he wore an especially smart green uniform with emerald buttons and had a twirling green moustache that stretched across his face from ear to ear. He stood before us, fingering his moustache. "Yes," he said, "and you are?" He seemed rather an officious little man. There he is, look. Dorothy explained very patiently and very politely who we were, and that we'd come a very long way to see the great and terrible Wizard of Oz, and how she would be very obliged if he would take us to see him. "You do know," said the Guardian, "that if you do not please Oz, if he finds you foolish, if you waste his time, he will be very angry indeed. And when Oz is angry, he can be, how shall I put this, most unpleasant, shall we say. With a click of his fingers, every single one of you could become nothing more than a puff of smoke. Puff, 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 and puff, the dog too. 5 puffs of smoke. Think about that. You are well warned. But since you've asked to see him, I must take you to see him. This is my duty." He opened a green chest beside him and took out a pair of green glasses. "Each of you must wear a pair of these, or else you will be blinded by the glare of our magnificent Emerald City. I have glasses of all sizes for lions and dogs too." Then, putting on a pair of glasses himself, he said with an imperious wave of his hand, "Follow me, and do not on any account remove your glasses." And so we entered the Emerald City. "I just hope we're doing the right thing," whispered Scarecrow. "So do I," said Dorothy. As we walked down the street, I was looking into the shop windows, green hats, green shoes, green dresses. Then I spotted something I liked. Sausages in a butcher's shop. Green sausages. I'd have eaten any sausages by now, whatever their colour. I was so hungry. They looked so good, and I'd never had any green sausages. I had to lick my lips to stop myself from dribbling. Lion, I noticed, was doing the same. That was all Lion and I were thinking of as we walked off into the Emerald City. We weren't thinking of the great and terrible Wizard of Oz. We were thinking of sausages. Lovely, delicious, green sausages. I didn't like wearing those glasses at all. Little puppies, I mean, dogs in glasses. We caught sight of ourselves in a shop window. Believe me, we looked stupid. But all the same, it was a good thing we had those glasses on, little puppies, I can tell you. As I walked through the streets of the Emerald City, I had a peek over the top of them. I never saw anything so bright and shiny in my life. The whole city glittered and sparkled in the sun. And of course, everything was green. And I mean everything. Green cobbles on the streets, green lampposts, green horses, green carts. And the people didn't just wear green clothes. They had green skin too. The lemonade on the street stalls was green, so were the children drinking it, and the popcorn and toffee apples and candy floss was green too, all of it. The Guardian with the twirling green moustache led us on through the bustling streets, and everywhere we went, people pointed and stared at us as if we were strangers from another world, which I suppose in a way we were. Well, Dorothy and me anyway. They seemed quite afraid of us. Tim Woodman, Scarecrow waved at everyone cheerily, so no one seemed to be afraid of them. But I could see they were really terrified of Lion. I can't imagine why. He just looked funny in his glasses, not frightening at all, as he padded along beside me. "Nice place, Toto," he said. "Nice people too. But green's not my favourite colour. I'm hungry. I so want some of those green sausages." And then they laugh in their glasses. "Me too," I told him with my eyes. We came at last to the gates of the Palace of Oz, right in the centre of the city. The Guardian led us through the door of the palace and up a grand staircase into a huge hall where of course all the chairs and tables and carpets were green, the chandeliers too. "Wipe your feet," he told us. "The great and terrible Wizard of Oz does not like strangers anyway, but he particularly hates strangers with dirty feet." So we wiped our feet and our paws very carefully so as not to upset the great wizard. We had to wait in this hall for some while, all sitting side by side on a green sofa. Me on Dorothy's lap because I had kept wandering off around the room just to snuffle about and explore, and the Guardian had said that the great and terrible Wizard of Oz did not like snuffling dogs, that snuffling dogs made him angry. Everything the Guardian said about this great and terrible wizard did not sound good at all. By this time, all of us were getting really worried. He sounded so scary. I was trembling with fear. We all were. Lion most of all. I was so glad I was on Dorothy's lap, that she was stroking the top of my head and talking to me. "It'll be all right, Toto," she was saying. "He can't be that terrible. He can't be." But she was humming now, so I could tell she was worried too. Soon we were all humming, me as well in my own way, until the Guardian with the green and twirling moustache told us off. "Stop that dreadful noise at once! The great and terrible Wizard of Oz hates humming." So we sat there in silence, waiting and trembling, and Dorothy hugging me so tight I could hardly breathe. We seemed to be sitting there forever before we heard a gong sounding, echoing so loud through the palace that the walls and the windows and the chandeliers seemed to shake with it. "The great and terrible Wizard of Oz will see you now," said the Guardian. "Remember to bow low, very low," he added, "when you see the wizard and when you leave too." "What will he look like?" Dorothy asked nervously. "Whatever he wants to look like," replied the Guardian rather impatiently. "And another thing," he went on, "you speak only to answer his questions, and you do exactly as he says. Understand? And don't gasp in astonishment at anything, and particularly do not say, 'wow.' He hates gasping, and he hates 'wow.' Argue, and he will get angry, and if he gets angry, he will only have to click his fingers like this, poof, and you will go up in a puff of smoke, and that will be the end of you. Many strangers before you have gone in there and ended up as puffs of smoke." He led us to an arched doorway and opened the door. "In you go," he said. So in we went, slowly. We found ourselves waiting in a vast room, green of course, with a high-vaulted ceiling studded with brilliant emeralds so bright it hurt my eyes to look at them, even through my glasses. At the far end of this great room, on a dais draped all around with green velvet, was a throne of green marble, and there was something or someone sitting on it, but we were too far away to see who it was. "Bow," whispered Dorothy. "Bow very low." So they did. Not me, though. Dogs don't bow to anyone, and anyway, I couldn't because Dorothy was carrying me. "Approach," came a booming voice that echoed around the room. So we did slowly. The something or someone on the throne turned out to be just about the weirdest thing I ever saw. It was a head, a massive bald head that filled the throne. It had no arms, no legs, just a great head with a mouth and eyes and ears. It looked like something like a giant egg, pearly white and smooth, and not a hair to be seen, like a grumpy sort of Humpty Dumpty. Dorothy whispered, "I'm not afraid, I'm not afraid, I'm not afraid." She kept saying this to herself as we walked slowly and trembling towards this strange and enormous head on the throne. The face frowned, the eyes glared, and the mouth moved and spoke. "I am the Wizard of Oz, Oz the Great, Oz the Terrible, Oz the All-Powerful. Who are you? What have you come for? Speak!" "I'm Dorothy," Dorothy answered. Her voice was firm and full of courage, which surprised me and made me very proud. And these are my good friends Toto, Tin Woodman, Scarecrow and Lion. The bald head leaned forward. Those red shoes you're wearing, he said. Where did you get those from? So Dorothy told him our whole story from the day the Twister picked up our farmhouse in Kansas, the house falling accidentally on the Wicked Witch of the East in the land of the Blue Munchkins, how the Good Witch of the North had kissed her and given her the Wicked Witch's magic red shoes to protect her and us, how we had crossed deep black holes and rushing rivers and had even escaped the cruel Calidors. Now the Good Witch of the North in the land of the Blue Munchkins had told us that the only way we could ever get home to Kansas was to go to the Emerald City and ask the great and terrible Wizard of Oz to help us, how Lion longed to have courage, how Tin Woodman so wanted a heart, and how Scarecrow yearned to have some brains. She told it all very fast, and it was a bit jumbled. Could you please help us, sir? Dorothy asked, rather breathlessly when she'd finished. I so want to go home, and so does Toto. And I so want to have courage, said Lion. And I so want to have a heart, said Tin Woodman. And I really want some brains, said Scarecrow. Please, sir, we'd be ever so grateful, said Dorothy. Turn round, the head commanded us, blinking slowly 3 times, while I think about this. I don't like strangers looking at me while I'm thinking, and mind you, don't turn back until I tell you. So we all did as we were told and turned round. We stood there, wondering, waiting. Then, after a while, came another voice from behind us, a woman's voice this time. Very well, you may turn and gaze upon me now. And when we turned round, the giant head was gone, and in its place on the throne sat the loveliest and most radiant of ladies in a long green gown of finest silk, with shining green hair on her head, a crown of glorious emeralds. We all gasped. Wow! We all said together, although I'm thinking mine sounded a bit more like a woof. The lovely lady frowned at us. Do you all want to be puffed into puffs of smoke? She said, lifting her hand, her fingers ready to click. We all shook our heads. Please no, cried Dorothy. We didn't mean it, honest. I can see you are honest, the lovely lady said, but don't do it again. No more wows. You understand? Now, tell me why I, the great and terrible Wizard of Oz, should help you. You are nothing but strangers to me. Because, Dorothy explained, and I could tell she was thinking hard, because you are good and kind and wise and powerful, and because we need your help. Back in Kansas, Aunt Em's always told me to be good and kind and always to help anyone who asks for it, particularly if they need help very badly, and we do. Turn round again then, said the lovely lady, while I think about it. I don't like anyone looking at me while I'm thinking. So we turned round again and waited, none of us daring to look up before we were told to. I've thought about it, came a voice after a while, but not a woman's voice this time. In fact, hardly a voice at all, more a raging roar. Turn round now! So we did, in fear and trembling, and saw sitting on the throne a most dreadful-looking beast, as big as an elephant, with a head and the horn of a rhinoceros, with green woolly hair covering its whole body, with 5 eyes in its head, 5 arms and 5 legs. We almost gasped, but we stopped ourselves just in time. We almost said wow too, but managed not to, only just. I've thought about this, growled this terrible beast, and I've decided I will help you, but only if you help me. How can we possibly help you? Dorothy asked. You are the great and terrible Wizard of Oz. Surely you can do anything you wish. You can even change what you look like, click your fingers and make puffs of smoke of us. How can we possibly help you? There he is. No one asks the great and terrible Wizard of Oz a question, roared the beast. Have you no manners? I ask the questions. I say what is to happen. Understand? Or do you wish to be puffs of smoke? No, please, Dorothy begged. Don't be angry. We'll do whatever you want us to do, or try anyway. Very well, that is better, growled the beast. But his growl was a bit gentler now. You've already got rid of the Wicked Witch of the East, which was good. Now you will find and do the same with the Wicked Witch of the West. Get rid of her. You have the power. Even my great powers cannot overcome her spells. Yours can. You have been kissed by the Good Witch of the North, and I see the mark of it still on your forehead, so you cannot be harmed. And you have those magic red shoes. Wear them. You will have all the power you need to dispose of the Wicked Witch of the West. Do this for me and bring me proof that you've done it, and I will help you get home to Kansas, you and your dog. And I will help the Tin Woodman have his heart, and you, Scarecrow, can have your brains, and you, Lion, you can have the courage of the King of the Beasts. All this I promise you. Now turn and go, and don't look back." We turned and walked the length of that room together, and all the time I was thinking, "Don't look back, Toto, don't look back." But I'm never very good at doing what I'm told, especially when I don't want to do it. So just as we reached the door, I had a crafty, sneaky look behind me. The head on the throne, the lovely lady, the horrible beast, had become a great ball of flaming fire. "Toto!" came a thundering voice, filling the room, filling the whole place as we walked out. "Oh," I thought, "now I'm in terrible trouble." "Toto, you looked back," roared the Wizard of Oz. "You're a naughty dog, a very naughty dog, and I should be very angry with you, and I am. But although I am the great and terrible Wizard of Oz, I can be kind and merciful when I like to be. So for Dorothy's sake, and for she is kind and honest, who loves you like a best friend, I will not make a puff of smoke of you this time." Well, as you can imagine, I did not look round again. I was mighty pleased after that to get out of the Palace of Oz alive, and soon we were on our way back to the city gates through the streets of the Emerald City. At the gates, still trembling after all that had happened, we handed our glasses back to the Guardian with the twirling green moustache. "Where are you off to now?" he asked us as he opened the gates to let us out. "West, I suppose," said Dorothy, "because somehow we have to find and get rid of the Wicked Witch of the West. We don't want to, but we have to, or the Wizard of Oz won't help us." The Guardian laughed at that, laughed loud and long, laughed fit to bust. "You do away with the Wicked Witch of the West? What, a tin man, a scarecrow, a slip of a girl, a trembling lion and a little bitty dog?" I nearly bit him just to show him, but Dorothy told me not to. "Pay him no attention," she whispered to me. "He's a rude, rude man." "We won't be seeing you again then, will we?" the Guardian sneered, twiddling his twirling green moustache. "That Wicked Witch of the West will have you lot for breakfast. She'll see you coming a mile away through her all-seeing eye. She sees everyone coming, and once she's seen you, you don't stand a chance. She'll send her horrible creatures after you." "We'll show her," said Dorothy, linking arms with the Tin Woodman and Scarecrow, "won't we?" "Yes, Dorothy," they said. Yes, I told her with my eyes, but we only agreed with her to make her feel better, to make us all feel better. They all felt as I felt, I could tell. None of us believed we could do it, none of us, but all of us knew we had to try. "Which road do we take?" Dorothy asked the Guardian. "How do we find this witch?" "Oh, there's no road," replied the Guardian. "Just go west towards the setting sun, and believe me, she'll find you with her all-seeing eye. As soon as you're in her country, the country of the yellow winkies, she will know you are there, and she will either destroy you or make slaves of you, whichever she feels like. She magics her horrible creatures out of dust, out of thin air. You won't stand a chance against them." "Oh, stop trying to frighten us," said Dorothy, stamping her foot at him crossly. "It's not fair and it's not kind. We are going. I have the kiss of the Good Witch of the North on my forehead and the red shoes of the Wicked Witch of the East on my feet. Nothing the Wicked Witch of the West can do can harm us. That's what the great and terrible Wizard of Oz told us. Oh, yes," she went on. "And by the way, your moustache is far too long and twirling. That's what I think. You should cut it. You'll be a much nicer person altogether with a shorter moustache. Not so proud and hoity-toity. Not so unkind." "Do you really think so?" said the Guardian, fingering his moustache nervously now. He seemed very upset and taken aback. "Maybe I shall then, if you say so. Pardon my rudeness, please. I didn't mean to be unkind. I must say you're the bravest people I've ever met, for the Wicked Witch of the West is the wickedest witch there ever was. I wish you well. I wish you all the luck in the world. You'll need it." And off he went. "Well," said Dorothy, clapping her hands to cheer us up, "up we get and off we go." And so off we went, westwards towards the country of the yellow winkies, towards the country of the Wicked Witch of the West, where her horrible creatures would be waiting for us. It was hard to be cheerful, but Dorothy wanted us to be, so we were, or at least we pretended to be. Whew, it was a long and exciting one. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that one. I hope you have a marvellous weekend, and somebody will read chapter 11 to you on Monday. Okay, bye-bye.